March 19th, 2024 order. Mr. Huber.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this beautiful spring morning. Bless us, bless the people of our county. We ask you to give us wisdom and strength as we make decisions for the people who live here. Give us patience and love for each other. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Mr. Wagner, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just love praying with a mouthful of
Do we have any additions or changes to the agenda?
We need to add the chairman's signature on the Weston County Cooperative Agency letter once he's available for the agenda. New business.
New business.
It specifically says Don's phone number.
Any other changes to the agenda?
Could we pull the model board appointment from the consent agenda?
We're gonna just pull that off completely or talk about it.
Pull for discussion. May I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on it? All those in favor of the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any public comment?
We need to approve the consent agenda.
Oh.
I have comments on everything.
You do, okay, we'll get into that. On the, we did pull on the consent agenda for discussion now forward. Is there anything that needs to be changed on the consent?
I'd like to see the minutes.
Which ones? Exactly.
Executive.
Yes. Would you give Tom one as well, please, thank you. I'm sure that's supposed to be her, and I should do that. Yes. Hey, Pete did tell you.
She's got her name.
Is she?
Yes. The chairman's signature. Right. She's asking the question.
She's always like, I think we have our hands. It's going to look like we can.
to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with amendment.
Second.
Motion's been properly made and seconded to approve the amended consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the amended consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We got a discussion on the mallow board. There was an application that was sent in from a resident of Campbell County for the mallow board. And we pulled that for discussion in accordance to State Statute 18-9-102. I'm just going to read a portion of this. The Board of Trustees provided by this statute shall be imposed of not less than 5, no more than 9 competent citizens of the county appointed by the Board of Commissioners. It's pretty obvious that if they are a resident of Campbell County, they're not qualified to be a member of the mallow board. Is there any discussion on this?
I'd like to see it loose.
You've got that statute. Okay.
On the street.
This one. Bless you. Thank you. I would like to write a letter to Miss Wiley that we appreciate her interest in, kind of, could you send some correspondence to her and her I'll
interest
send
in
the
this and
statute to
the
her.
statute, because she looks like she is a great candidate. It's unfortunate that that's the case. I mean, unless she's planning on moving to Weston County, unfortunately. And I also think that maybe a email sent to all our other boards that are affected by this would be a good idea.
We'll have to check all the boards and make sure they're all Weston County
I
residents.
think it just gives you email each board chair.
That's
Any other discussion on this topic?
not much.
I think that would be appropriate. It's nice that the interest was shown in the board, although there are some requirements that they have there.
Mr. Vice Chair. It's imperative that the commission acknowledge that the major function and funding from Mallow to the conservation camp comes out of Weston County. They fund a great deal of that. And even though that is not a qualified voter, I would ask that the commission recognize the contributions that Campbell County do forward to Mallow Camp and the functions at the camp.
And the contributions in monetary value, or?
Yes, the annual conservation camp is actually sponsored by the Campbell County Conservation District. And Weston County is a support for their function.
That discussion could begin with the mallow board. Discuss. Commissioner Todd?
I honestly think it's a great point, because really the county, Weston, the only funding we give Mallow Board for that entire facility is for the Caleb's position.
I mean, it basically funds itself and through the help of other counties around, and I mean, it's a pretty unique spot. I think that you're correct. It's a,
Thank you, Commissioner.
There's no more discussion on this topic. We've got public comment. Have we got public comment this morning? Just a little bit early on, let's move on to the extension office budget adjustment.
And call Michael.
Hello.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Can everybody hear you? Sir? You're on.
We are to our thing on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have Becky here. We're just going to talk about a couple of things. One is, it looks like the annex budget needs an amendment, and I don't know if Becky can talk about that a little more about why. Maybe you can explain that.
Some time back, I think with Alex, we had a photocopier in the extension office that we brought here. And then Alex and the current board had us share a photocopy machine. And so we shared it for quite some time, but it's rather difficult to share the copier. I have to come down and ask them to not rent for a while and whatnot. So anyway, we have gone back to 2 photocopiers. So I have one back in the extension office. I had to renew the maintenance agreement. And so anyway, that is making the line item for the annex for the photocopier go in the hole. So currently, I think it's short right now $566.75. And so what we are asking is, now that we're back to 2 photocopiers and maintenance agreements, that we need to increase our budget by $3,000 to get us through the end of June. Then my goal is in July to put my own line item back in the extension budget for the photocopy machine that I had probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea. It's having your own line, we can keep it, square of what's going on, comes with our confidentiality and all that. The annex side will go down a lot because I think they print a lot more pamphlets with colors and stuff. So I think annex side will go down they'll just go down quite a bit, whatever they need to do on their side with their separate line item. That would be fine. So.
Commissioner Todd?
Vicki,
Yes.
how have you been paying for that prior to this?
What we had to do was Becky asked us to just send our voucher from top office. It comes over here to Michael, and then he pays it through the annex line item,
Okay.
which we knew that line item would eventually run dry.
Also, Vicki, the 566.75 that we're short, is that, do we currently have 2 photocopiers now, or where are we at with the photocopier?
We have 2 photocopiers. I resurrected the old one that I ordered from the extension office years ago. And I worked with top office back that's who mine was through. And so Cal, came down, reinstated the maintenance agreement and the copier contract, whatever we had prior. And so I'm not quite sure what all Alex did with Marco and probably the same thing. So now you've got two different companies. You're gonna have Marco and you're gonna have Top Office.
Okay. And the anticipated $3,000 budget adjustment is directly related to the photocopier, or are there other overages involved with that?
It's both copiers.
Both, okay.
So where we're short the $567 approximately, and then we averaged what it cost us in the extension office, and Michael averaged what it would cost him for the attorney's office, and so anyway, that's how we came up with the $3,000 to get us to the end of the year. I'm assuming there's a tiny bit of overage in that you'll get back, but we just didn't. I mean, we upped it by like $10, $12 a month on our end, just because we know we've got fair coming up and a lot of 4-H things going.
So yeah, basically it was this us.
Yes, that's
So
yours.
the annex is $120 a month times 4, that's $480. What's that?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
the Golden West is what we do Golden West for our shipping, and everything also comes out of that line. So it's cheap, like it's expensive, because we're also paying for the service on the facility.
So for our copier, 120 times 4 months is 480. Golden West is 300 times 4 is 1200. Extension estimates 720 for the next 4 months on what they'll have. So then you had 566. That's right about $3,000.
Where's that money's coming from?
You pulled on the financial admin, I guess. So, but do we need, if we're gonna do this, should we allocate 1,500 into the Michael's office and 1,500 towards the annex or towards extension?
It's all one
I
line
think,
item.
Nathan, I think the best thing to do is to put it all in the annex line item until the end of the year.
And then figure out for next year.
And then figure out next year with the new budget. Otherwise, it's gonna get too complicated to straighten it out on my side.
Do you guys, I mean, this next budget cycle, will you be able to come forward with a pretty good assessment of what your needs are, and as opposed to the attorney's office, Vicki?
Yes, for us, yes, because we can go back and look at exactly every month that we've vouchered, so we'll have a really close estimate.
Okay.
So what you're asking for is 3,000 to cover you through the end of June. That's
Yes, please.
what's the wishes of the board?
How many more? Sorry. Where else? I mean, but we got 2 more months of who else is gonna be coming for money, do you think? I mean, do you know of anybody that?
Well, the coroner is going to, in May is when I'll send out a message asking, and we have several departments that are in the red and a lot of line items.
So I guess the moral of the story and what I'm asking is people better get it figured out quick, because this money's disappearing. And
Well, and legislation just passed where the retirement's going to go up for all employees. Our insurance is going to go up, and I will be really surprised if we don't have departments having to cut their budgets.
So which, you want to put it into general annex, is what you?
They
think?
have a line item.
Is it miscellaneous?
Vicki, which line item do you take that out of?
0029?
It's 100.00.31.0113. 000.0000.
So basically,
General annex computer software.
Annex computer software.
I'll make a motion to pull $3,000 from, I guess this is a terrible motion. Drawing a blank.
Financial admin.
Financial admin. You want the numbers, you gonna write them?
I can grab them right now.
Put them into annex, general annex computer software licensing. And
I've got that.
public hearing at the next
I can do
meeting.
a resolution.
Okay.
I second that.
There's been a motion on the table that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Commissioner John?
I think maybe a memo to, I mean, I know everybody's aware, but we're getting to crunch time on our numbers, and maybe I don't know if you want to send something out, but better get it figured out where we're at, yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of taking $3,000 out of financial admin and moving into general annex computer software, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, well, thank you guys. I don't know if you have anything else.
no, thank you very much. We appreciate your help, and we knew this was gonna happen, so thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Couple minutes early. Let's move on to the airport board.
Morning, y'all.
Morning, Don Cook.
It's Don Cooksey, Bob Severa, along with our airport manager, Tuff Streeter,
Could you use podium?
the podium.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it's for.
This is much more comfortable. We come before you this morning to ask for $880.75 because it is that the cost for our crack sealing program has increased. To ease the pain of that, I have the news that our seal coating and striping, they won't be using all the money, so there'll be $589.58 that won't be used, which will increase your expense, $291, whatever the math is exactly. And that's all we want today.
Commissioner Tom?
I assume the city's paying help and they were
Yeah. If you could do what I asked you to match what the city agreed to do last night.
That portion, those numbers are specific to each entity. That's
That's
the
correct.
county's portion and also the county or the city's portion.
That is correct.
Sorry, Commissioner.
Do you have that 291 the exact number, or is there some change on that?
There's change on that. If you subtract 589.58 from 880.75,
You make me do math.
Well, yeah, I feel your pain there.
What were the exact numbers again?
The big number is 880.75. The amount you don't have to spend on the other project is 589.58.
291.17.
Did I say that right? 589.58?
Yes.
Where should we pull that out of?
Grant match. Should be money in there.
Yeah.
Well, he'll have to look. In my paper, he'll have to do that.
Is that under the airport?
No, it's in our general grant match.
While we're looking at this, Donnie, is there anything other than that you'd like to discuss about the airport?
Don't believe so, unless there's questions. Last time we saw you, we talked about the hangar update, which we did brief the city council on last night.
Just keep things moving. I'd make a motion. Do we take the $291.17 out of the grant match and transfer it into the airport's budget to square up on the cracks or the chip sealing?
I'll say that.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Where would that money go into, Chuck?
Well, actually, this money for the crack sealing and seal coat is not gonna be invoiced until next budget year. And, or until, Tim thought probably October, September, October is when the state finally gets around to invoice this. So it'll be out of next year's.
The next fiscal year?
Yeah, and as we came, a couple months ago and talked about the seal coat, that's the one we just, increased. And then a few months before we talked about the crack sealing. And so, it would be just, basically, we got your approval then for the amount necessary to cover our share of these crack sealing and seal coat. And, so now we just kind of need to update this, so next year's budget.
So we're not actually going to
No.
move funds. When the invoice
Yeah.
comes, we will just take that additional fund out of our grant match when the invoice comes.
Right.
So we're not moving
No, we
anything.
don't have to actually do a
Okay.
resolution to move it in. Basically, we're just giving your approval to move forward with it.
Yeah.
I'd like to amend the motion to state that we're giving the airport board the authority to ask for that money in next budget session.
We have a second on the amendment.
To adjust that by $291.17.
Okay with the second.
Okay. Motion's been amended and seconded. Any discussion on the amended motion? All those in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries.
Thank you all.
I meant to get this to you, I didn't get this until last night. This is for the seal road, this is how much was bid for that seal coat project. Yes. This is the crack sealing, the seal coat is which is, this last week. And then we get better. That's how much money we saved, I guess, from the engineers. That's all it goes. Gives us to get that clarified.
Thank you.
Okay,
Stuff.
you betcha.
One other thing I got on the airport board, to give us an update to the last meeting, they mentioned a 9 feet possible extension on the south side of the taxiway where the future hangars are going to be put in. I would like to make a note to the minutes of the discussion of that 9 feet if that topic happens to come in the future. Let's take about a 10-minute recess before we do our 4-H update.
It was interesting when he was removed. There's quite a few people that will remember my comments at the time because it came after Ogden, reportedly, I guess you should say, because it was reported and then they claimed that he claimed that didn't happen, but we all saw the letters where he made the chairmans of the board sign that we're going to do this and that and the other thing, and we're not going to disobey. And
we're not going to disobey. I love that. I love that part. We're not going to disobey.
Pretty much. That's what I got
Yeah.
from it. Reading it is, aye, Captain, we will follow your rule. It kind of made me look a little different at Driscoll. And then this year's made
Well,
it
and you
even.
didn't just look different. Come on. You gave him a nickname even.
I gave him a nickname. He was saved in my phone still to this day as Dictator Driscoll. And I still don't feel bad about that because Weston County hasn't seen him once leading up to this session.
I really know where I'm
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm just not used to it. Good. Good. Maybe I'll stand over here.
Thank you.
I feel like this is an odd.
Thank you.
Yes. I got it. Okay. So, Weston County 4-H is growing. We've picked up 6 members and I think a 7th today. As I was walking out of the office, we just had another enrollment come. So that makes us at 182 compared to 181 when I printed this 45 minutes ago, which is super exciting. It's kind of crazy because I'm not really sure where they're all coming from, but it's really exciting. So I am way excited to get to know the new 4-Hers and kind of figure out where they're going to fit into the program. So our robotics group started meeting 2 weeks ago, so they'll meet almost every Friday through May, and then we will do a practice contest, and we're going to invite Campbell County, so they have a brand new robotics program this year, to come over on June 4th and kind of do a mock contest of what they will do at Showcase Showdown in Laramie in June, because a lot of our kids aren't going to go to Showcase just because it's so far, and I have lots of them under the age of 10, so bless the little robotics leaders for hurting them and 9 million Lego pieces into a robot in the next 3 months. And then we're going to do a robotics showcase at County Fair again this year, so we'll set up Thursday night of fair and let the kids demonstrate their robots and talk about them. So if you guys ever have a chance on a Friday afternoon, the next couple Fridays, swing by the Forest Service building and watch this group as they do their thing. It's pretty amazing. So they start with a brain of this Lego contraption, and they will build a robot that will do specific tasks. And then at Showcase, they'll compete by completing those specific tasks and then completing a interview. So it's a really, really cool process, and the kids absolutely love it. At 9 and 10, they know how to make the gears and the programming work far better than I ever will. So it's really fun. Our dog project has 12 youth that are currently participating.
So they've been meeting bi-weekly. We have some really fun and exciting guest instructors coming in from kind of all over the region that our leaders know and are pulling in to help our kids. So this weekend, they're going to work on rally with a gal that competes at some of the AKC shows. So really exciting opportunity for our kids to see high-level dogs, and she's actually going to bring her dogs and let them work her dogs. So it's really cool for them. And then we are planning to do a clinic and a mock show on June 22nd with Kirk County, and possibly we'll invite kind of some of our other bordering counties to come over and participate that day as well. So big, exciting things happening there. Our shooting sports program is wrapping up 22 and air seasons with county shoots next week. And archery will start April 7th, and there are 58 youth enrolled in archery between Upton and Newcastle. So it's a huge program. I'm very excited there. And then shotgun and muzzle loading practices. We've actually had a couple shotgun practices because we've had some nice days where they've been able to shoot. So muzzle loading will get started there as well. And I just got notification that we got an NRA grant for Weston County 4-H this year. And it doesn't give me an exact number of what they've awarded, but if I've kind of crunched the numbers, and we're looking at somewhere in that $12,000 to $15,000 range of support, including ammunition and supplies. And I'm really excited because I asked for money to do t-shirts for all of the kids and all of the 4-H leaders. So I got awarded that money this year. So we're gonna get shirts made for all the kids. So kind of a fun way for them to advertise and put out 4-H in one more spot. So I'm super excited. Hopefully I'll start receiving NRA grant stuff. Again, I have no, they don't tell me when it's all coming, so it just magically starts arriving in my office. So if that does, we'll start working on that. So upcoming meetings, we will have Cloverbud and Tumbleweed meetings this week in Upton and Newcastle, which kind of wraps us up. We are going to meet in May, and then we'll move into camp and fair with those guys. So this is kind of our last actual meeting before we move into summer activities. So shooting sports practices, club meetings, volunteer trainings, and 4-H camp planning, which is hard to believe that we're already talking about June, and it's going to be here in the blink of an eye. So county fair preparations roll right into that as well. So fair award donor letters went out a couple weeks ago, which is about 3.5 months earlier than they have the last 2 summers. So we were super excited about that. We're working on the fair schedule, so hopefully the fair board is having a special meeting next Monday, the 25th, to kind of finalize, finish maybe fair schedule, and then we'll release that so parents can start taking days off. And I'm working on hiring fair judges. So then some pictures there on the back are the monthly club meetings. So there are 6 clubs across Weston County, and they're doing some really great, super exciting, fun things. I haven't seen pictures of Oak Mountain Outlaws yet, but they tie-dyed all of their t-shirts, and then this last Sunday they pressed on, so they used our cry kit at the machine or at the office and cut out project pieces, so all of their t-shirts are individual. So they have like the Elk Mountain Outlaws, and then they have their dogs or their robots or whatever their projects are on their t-shirts. So I'm really excited to see those pictures from this last weekend. And then this is the Borderline Bandits, the big picture. They had their club meeting on Sunday as well. I was kind of excited to see that we had lots of clubs meeting on St. Patrick's Day, kind of doing all sorts of fun Clover stuff. So that's kind of where we're at with Weston County 4-H. I don't know if everybody has heard, but the next Little Pershie is joining us sometime the end of April, first part of May. So I will be on maternity leave the majority of May. And then my goal is to work like a day and a half all summer to just kind of keep everybody rolling and chugging along, getting ready for fair. And then I'll work county fair and state fair, and then hopefully be back to work full time in September. So we're kind of doing a mad dash for the next 5 weeks of how much can we get ready for summer ahead of summer. So that's kind of where we're at, and working on just trying to get lots of project opportunities for the kids lined up. So we have kids enrolled in 44 different project areas across 4-H. So just lots of really cool things happening. It's a lot of fun, and every day when I pop open my email and there's another 4-H kid, I'm just like, okay, fantastic. I don't know. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any of that, and just excited to share that 4-H is on roll.
What time on Fridays is the kids?
They're meeting from 2 to 4. Yep.
That's the robotics?
Yep, for robotics. And last year we used the senior center because we quickly outgrew our space at our office. When you put that many children in Lego pieces, there's no room to make. And so we were lined up to use the senior center, and then Caleb Carter is my 4-H leader that does robotics. And thankfully, they had an empty office space and that big meeting room, so they're gonna keep all of the robotic stuff there, because that's been the biggest challenge. Is it fills the back of my Traverse, all of that stuff, to take it back and forth. So I'm super excited that we can just leave it in one place this spring and not, especially with me out, not have to haul things back and forth. So that was a huge, like, okay, we don't have to figure out what we're gonna do for the next 12 Fridays of logistically moving all of that stuff. So that's the worst part of all of that, is there's just a lot of pieces.
Excellent, and thank you, Erin. It seems like the robotics have gotten to be kind of a big thing. Don't they have like a state competition out in Casper or something, don't they?
Yeah, and then, so we do, our robotics through 4-H is a little different. They do a lot of the first Lego League, and there's a lot of that, and a lot of the schools do that as well. Texas 4-H actually created the robotics contest model that we're using, and they do it at all of the big Texas stock shows. And their end goal is they invited any state that wants to participate to use their curriculum. They just hand it over. They've created the contest each year, and their goal is in a couple of years, hopefully we'll have kind of a national 4-H robotics contest that we would be able to, the kids that win at state would then have the opportunity to go on to like the national 4-H robotics contest. So I'm really hopeful for that, because I think it gives those kids that are super interested in that technology side of things a place to go on a big 4-H trip, because we have a lot of opportunities on the livestock side and not as much on the robotics. So I'm super excited for that. It's really cool because like at Houston and San Antonio, they have over 100 teams of these robotic kids coming for the stock shows. So it's a really cool, last year we partnered with the new Microsoft office in Cheyenne, and they came over and judged our contest at state. And just a really cool way for them to interact with some technology people that hopefully will get them excited about a career in technology. And Weston County, our junior team actually won the contest last year, and our senior team the year before. So we have kids that are very good at what they do. So it's fun. So I'm hoping by the time maybe my juniors are a little older, we'll have that contest and we'll get to take them and do some really cool things with them. So yeah, lots of fun things. Okay, well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you for your updates.
Yes.
Moving on to old business. Discussion on the CRIT project. Mr. Clark.
Mr. Taylor from State of Wyoming with the Department of Transportation reached out to me. The $27,000, I believe, that's been spent on engineering. It isn't any wasted money on that. That's what would have happened no matter what. So we're not in the hole anywhere. I mean, it will be used to continue to proceed forward no matter what we decide with this. But his I think this probably needs to go back to Newcastle again, give people an opportunity that maybe live on that road, a chance to come in front of the board again. But we're talking, if we stick as planned, it's $1 million out of the county. If we stay with the original design of, I think it was Rhoda, it's $100,000 to repair that road. And I believe that $100,000 includes R&R in those culverts as well. So I guess that's all I had on it.
Just for those listening, the CRIP project is, it's County Road 1A, and that goes from intersection on South Summit and 85, loop around past the housing district, Old Dump Road, and back to 85. It's 3.68 mile stretch. Estimated cost on it, according to DOT, is $869,083. This was an exchange repair for Wyoming 451 road. What's interesting I pulled up on their website, it shows on the description of it, it's FDR, which is a full depth reclamation, exposing the 3.68 miles. But when you pull it up, it's got a portion of it only being spot repaired and overlaid, which would be from South Summit to Greenhouse Road, and then Greenhouse Road on south to South 85 would be the FDR. That's how it was showing on that side. It's a little confusing when it says 3.68 miles, but I believe that's the whole stretch. But under the description, it's a little bit.
Just up to the bridge.
It shows past South 85.
And nothing on the other side of the bridge.
I'll look that up real quick. Is any of that paved on the other side?
Yeah.
It is. It's over.
It was Old Highway 85.
I didn't know if it was.
It shows from South 85 on that FDR.
Yeah.
But I do believe the original idea was from Greenhouse Road only. That was the only full depth reclamation. The rest of it was just repaired.
But I think when we went out to the bridge with, Wygod, and that's when these trees was still here.
So
And
is,
I don't think the other side of the bridge was gonna be part of this CRIP project.
On the original plan.
Right.
so this is from Greenhouse going all the way around hooking into 85, not up Summit to 85 right there at the lodge area. It's from Greenhouse on, right?
Towards the dump road.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't hook into 85, it goes out to the dump area?
No, just
This
across
is-
the bridge that goes across the railroad track.
Okay, okay.
It's gonna be on the corner where Doc Supper Club used to be, would be that intersection. That's an old one.
You make yourself better.
Well, I've heard
It's a
stories.
Duckworth Square Church, that church on
Yeah. It would be, they've actually.
Yeah, I think I know where it is.
intersection. They're naming that intersection 229, which is where South Summit meets 85.
Okay.
Commissioner Hall.
So we did have a public hearing on it, which was what was required to do for that, but I think it's just important to know that public hearings aren't necessarily, you give the public the opportunity to say what they would like to have happen. It doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. I mean, I understand that those folks would like a paved road out there, but currently we don't have any paved roads, other paved county roads in the county, and costs are pretty substantial, and I think it's worth visiting with these folks and seeing, make it understood where we're sitting with it, and what we might be looking at.
Also, this project, it's only really regarding the road and not the bridge itself. Is that correct?
That's
Okay,
This is the CRIP project. The Bros project is the bridge replacement.
okay.
Well, there's definitely things to consider. If a person ran it past the people that lived out there, I would assume that the majority of them all are gonna want it paved. You know, just like what it had been, but the maintenance on it, frustrating when we're dealing with dust control and things like that in other areas when it comes down to gravel roads, that would be an issue also in this one. The other thing to look at is we're probably going to see somewhat of a decrease in traffic, means the landfill is going to be moved on the west side of 85. I forecast South 85 highway being traveled more so with that usage.
I'd be concerned too, is if we did pave it, you might see an increase of other traffic as well, and it might be faster traffic.
Right. I don't know, we had brought that up to Scott Taylor about, the topic was about search engines, and when it comes down to like Google questing your maps and things like that. If you were coming, say if you were hauling semi load from Lusk and you're headed to Custer and you've got in your MapQuest the shortest route, ultimately it would pull up that turn, and County Road 1A is what it would route you to with a semi to Greenhouse Road and off to 16 and through. That was a topic that we did have with the DOT, and if we can, I mean, how does a person change that? I don't know if we can disable roads.
I could be wrong, didn't he say that he had connections to make?
Yes.
He had the ability to affect that somehow. I thought at the time he was going to try to reach out.
And it was discussed putting up signs. It says, basically,
MapQuest is wrong.
MapQuest is
Right.
wrong. Because
Right.
they talked about motorhomes getting stuck on that
Right.
bridge and not being able to turn around.
Exactly. Could be a weight limit thing. It probably won't be after the bridge replacement, but we're going to notice that. Well, just look at the decline of that road. You know, say from Greenhouse, but pretty much the whole stretch, but mainly from Greenhouse out to that housing district. It's tough. It's rough, and it's not from passenger cars just traveling on it, you know what I'm saying? That's not what's keeping it up.
Since some of this happened before I was here, do we have an amount that it would cost if we went the route of graveling it as, you know, compared to asphalt?
We did it one time. I don't know what the numbers are, I think they're the true numbers. Obviously,
That's a good point.
Well, everything we were working with was just engineer's estimates from back then.
Right.
And now, we know where engineer's estimates have went in the last 5 years. They've been extremely low. The old ones extremely low.
And I think that's what Mr. Taylor was telling me was, in the end, it's a difference at the end of the day of $900,000. Today, estimates is $900,000 going from the original design plan to the secondary design plan that the public hearing. So,
Well, what's the wishes of the board in aspects to at least making a step closer to where we would like to be with the commission on this project?
I'd like to see it on the agenda again in Newcastle, and maybe, I know it's gonna cost some money, but maybe a little ad in the newspapers to, let people know that we're gonna discuss it further. I don't want these people thinking that, that their concerns aren't valid and not taken into consideration, but I think that they need to be probably part of the conversation again if they want.
I know that we have a pretty busy meeting on the 1st of April with the resolution. We'll have quite a few people coming. Would it be better to put it at the end of April, since it'd be,
You don't want that much on that first agenda.
I'm just thinking of
Should be
how
okay.
people wise, how many people will be coming to the resolution part and then this part.
I could space it out, so as the resolution's the very first thing. So, we should be,
Okay.
If we are deciding if the CRIP project is scheduled for 2025 and the roads is this year, I would like to have as soon as we can. You know, we've had this in the making for a couple of years now. And now it's kind of, you know, the dollar issue has come to the plate. You know, things have increased since the original estimatics of the road and the bridge in itself. I mean, everything's gone up. So, I mean, when we more or less come in and say, put our name in the hat, you know, for the road, and when this comes up, obviously, things can change a little bit. The location of we knew that the location of the landfill was probably gonna be in a different spot also, but if everything was completely the same dollars wise, and we agreed upon what we did a few years back, we would probably still be in the makings for where we were then, but I see that dollars are changing things a little bit. Is a gravel road gonna be considered on that loop?
You know, one thing people aren't gonna like to hear, but you know, mag chloride is a lot cheaper than asphalt. That's a dust control product we can use down the road if we go that way.
And the maintenance on that road in the future would be, well,
We do
similar
it
to
in-house.
Exactly, similar to what we did there at by the fire department.
Yeah.
On Fairgrounds Road,
Yep, nothing that will
remove that.
Hillsview Heights, or not Hillsview Heights, but over the hill there too.
So, well, at this point, there's that old business. To which meeting? We don't want to add that to the next meeting.
Have you,
yeah, I don't know that much, but I can just space
on
it
the
enough.
first of the,
Put it at the end of the meeting, that way if it does go over, we're not running into something else.
Okay. New business, Employers Council and meeting and signature on that one. One each. Okay.
So this is the bill that I've had since January, and then, Commissioner Stevens said that she was gonna look into different options, and then she decided she's gonna do the HR position, and then now here we are with this bill that has needed to be paid since January. So I printed off the, enterprise membership that we had last year, with everything that's included. Hours of service are unlimited. Our annual dues last year were $7,700. They did go up $200 from last year. And then Commissioner Wagner asked to have this printed off again so we could see what we had last year.
Did you, I assume that this was budgeted this amount, there's 7,700?
Yeah, the 7,700 was in the budget, yeah.
Is Commissioner Huber?
I still think this is probably not, even though I haven't been able to find anything cheaper, the reason I haven't been able to find anything cheaper is because these people don't work with hourly employees on a hotline or anything like that. This is just supervisors only, so in my book, we already have our handbook done. Just having somebody for supervisors to talk to, it seems like it's not a good use of our money.
Is there a way to expose the usage of what the county's used in the last year on the employees council?
I think the gal told me that we only needed like 4 hours, 5 hours. But I just have a bill that has been outstanding since January.
Okay. And this is that's the renewal of the agreement, right?
Yeah.
Question for the board, do we see the creation of an HR department within this next year?
I'd have a hard time answering that right now until we see where we're sitting in June, May. However, at the same token, though, Fear is correct in ways that this isn't the easiest thing, probably, or the most perfect answer out there. And I don't know if there's some way that there could be, like you mentioned, Garrett, more knowledge put into the hands of the supervisors or electeds to figure out a better way to use this. And if not, is there anybody out, if we're using 4 hours of four billable hours, is there somebody out there that we can we get 10 billable hours a year from you? You know, I mean, what would this, you as an HR representative, instead of hiring a position or paying this kind of a fee yearly, I mean, granted, the sky could be the limit if you have tons of issues, but 4 hours at $7,700 holy cow. But maybe with more education, it might be used a lot more.
Right. Well, that's a question that I have with it. I mean, my ideal situation would be to have the funding of a substantial HR department. That would be ideal. But what do we have to work with, and is the Employers Council the next best thing until we either get our HR developed and created, or would this be on the renewal side of it? Is this going to be January to January?
Yeah, well, it's February to February, because February is when they received the first check last year.
Okay, and so have they been continuing the service since February?
Mm-hmm.
We have.
And, I mean, I got an email that said, that's why we have to do the prepaid, that everything's going to be off.
Okay.
April 2nd.
So we're going to borrow time with them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a February to February. We're going to be establishing budget, and at that in July, so we're looking at ultimately about half a year, a little bit more than with the Employers Council if we had something developed by next February.
And like I was telling you, says our budget is going to be really slim because legislation passed where retirements go up by employees, and our insurance money is going up.
I guess personally, speaking, I think it might behoove us, it's budgeted. Some of our people use it already, maybe have been, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but maybe have been using the service in the last couple of months. And I think come this summer, we look real hard at option B, or we find option C and see if there's some other company out there that we'll just do unbillable hours. And, I mean, if that's an option out there, you might get a lot of billable hours for $10,000.
Is there anything, going off of the usage, I know we went with the enterprise membership on an annual.
Right here.
Correct.
You can do the 3,800 for 10 hours of service if you want.
We didn't use that last year. We've only been 4 to 5. Just trying to figure out, we're not utilizing, we were maybe anticipating last year that we just didn't want an overage on it. You get the 10-hour mark and then all of a sudden, what is that per hour or whatever? And we end up blowing this one out of the water, so I know that's probably the route we went, but ultimately we could cut that thing in less than half or half on a 10-hour, and we didn't maybe at the max use half of that last year. Is that an option? What's your thought?
I think it could be. I mean, really, the only thing you're missing is this individual annual training pass and a database access, compensation database access, which we're not using, I don't think. And I'm not sure that we're even using that individual annual training pass. I mean, for 3,800.
I'll cut it in half.
Yeah.
And then I can visit with her once I send this and ask her. I can come back to you guys and tell you, like, how much it is per hour.
Right.
If we go over.
If we could do the 3,800, maybe that would at least be something that if we did have to have an investigation, yes, I understand we have to pay additional for that investigation, but we would have someone available to do it. At least it would give us the availability to do that.
Well, at least they're there and, we have the 10 hours.
Could you also verify them what is a billable hour? Or what is an hour of service entailed? Is that a phone call? That's something I would be curious to know.
Yeah, because all of us email them all the time and I don't know. I wouldn't think that the 2 seconds of an email
Right.
would be costing us anything.
Or what that would be. I'm even looking on this, the next up is the enterprise consulting and then the core, talking about employee handbook, which we just rehashed on our own, reviewed by an HR professional.
Well, see, they did do that.
They did review it. They reviewed that, and then the other one was the limited number of hours up to 10 individuals on the consulting side. Have we used any of the consultation?
I think a couple people.
Probably, that probably is a portion of the.
I would say is, we need to just keep in mind that this doesn't really cover hourly people, and the supervisors need to still, for now, have their hourly people know that they can go to the county attorney's office with problems.
They did tell us the way that the employees can call them. All they have to do is have a department head call them, and then the department head can move the room, and the employees can visit with them.
But most people won't probably want to do that, so we still need that availability known to everyone.
So I'll just change this now to 3,800.
What's the wishes of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve our signatures on the voucher to Employers Council for consulting membership in the amount of $3,800 for this term that it entails.
For this annual cycle?
Yeah.
Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Motion's been made, properly seconded. Any discussion on the continuing consulting membership at $3,800 for annual due membership. All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. I would like to point out the approval of the Employers Council here should not be discouraging of HR consideration in any way. We just need to decide what we are doing with our current membership.
You know, if y'all could speak a little louder, it would help us old people.
Sorry. Speak up. I'll add some volume to it, man.
Thank you.
Anything else on Employers Council? We're a little early for public comment, but oh, excuse me. That's what we had, insurance. Good idea. And this is on, Todd?
I had a Zoom meeting last week with, I shouldn't say but I attended a Zoom meeting with the Forest Service and a bunch of the other cooperating agencies in the counties. And basically what it is as they're amending their plans with any Forest Service changes, it basically gives us a seat at the table by requesting a seat at the table for any future considerations. And without us requesting that, which doesn't have to be done today, it could be done even the day before, but it gives them notice that we are an interested party and would like to have a seat at the table in the event that we would like to comment and or have our concerns considered.
If we don't move forward with this, we lose our seat at the table.
Not today. I mean, you could do it. There was no deadline assigned to
No,
it, but
not-
it is. Yeah.
If we don't move forward, not have to be done today, but
Yeah.
if we don't move forward with this, we basically say, we don't want a seat at your table, you do whatever you want. So it's kind of important that we move forward with this either today or at the next meeting. That way we can still keep our seat at the table when negotiations and discussions are had.
It seems like this cooperating agency term has been brought up pretty frequently here. I'm wondering, where's the deficient there? You gotta ask for it to have it. That's a little frustrating, you know what I mean? We are a county of Wyoming, and I would like to think that should be a given on the cooperating agency, but this was just the cooperating, what was that, what Drew was explaining to us 2 meetings ago on our Zoom, and it was involving the cooperating agencies also, which the wording gets a little bit tricky on if you don't respond and request it, you don't have a say.
And that it's not just it's on everything that goes through, whether it be the Rock Springs RMP or Black Hills, forest land revisions, every one of them, just because you're a cooperating agency in one, doesn't mean you receive that status in everything. Every one you have to keep asking for requesting to be a cooperating agency in every plan that comes forward out of the government like that. So just because you're in one, doesn't mean you're across the board a cooperating agency.
I think unfortunately it's the bureaucracies of the large federal government that think that, no matter what happens, end all sail may land in their shoes. And unfortunately, as citizens of the county with a lot of federal lands in it, we have to be diligent about ensuring that we stick our nose in the door and say we are part of this county and that federal land is part of our county and we should have an opportunity because it affects our daily lives and our economies, all sorts of things.
What's the wishes of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the chairman's signature on the request for cooperating agency status regarding the Forest Service Land Management Plan amendment.
Second on that motion. Second. Motion's been made, properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving our chairman's signature on that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye, I'm sorry.
In favor of?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous ayes. Motion carries. Okay, are we now?
Yes.
Okay. Public comment. Any public comment?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to request
What's your name?
Ted Urban. I'd like to request a appointment for your next meeting concerning a easement right-of-way on the cut across highway for Old Highway 85, unless you want to hear it now. Save me a trip back.
Public comment.
It is your choice if you want to hear it now, or I can get an appointment for later.
We won't make a decision on it today, but we can hear it.
It's concerning private property of yours, I assume.
It is the cut across, if I may, I've got a map that might be a little more explanatory.
And then, I mean, if it's not something affecting the general decision, I guess we're gonna have this on the agenda, not necessarily the bridge, but that road project is gonna be on the agenda for the next meeting, or the next meeting, I don't know. I'd say it's up to you.
It doesn't concern the bridge. It concerns the highway up to part of a couple hundred feet away from the bridge. So it makes no difference to me. I would be glad to do it now or until later.
I would love to see it, and then we have.
You have time to look at it?
If it's informative, let's do it.
I'm going to give you a map and then try to explain what you're looking at. The upper part of the map for your reference is a little closer to north, towards Newcastle. So however you want to turn the map to understand it. I've looked at it 10,000 times, so it's kind of old hat to me. I live it. So, Highway 85, new Highway 85 is completed in segments. And they got to, this is, okay, now let me get it right. Okay. This is the north where the red, not where the red comes from. This comes from your assessor's office, this map here. This way going north, I'm going to call it northerly, is towards Newcastle. This road is the cut across road in the blue square that turns onto Old Highway 85. Some people call it the dump road, just for reference. And then from that point on, you can see where the railroad tracks are on property. I have property on both sides of that Old Highway 85, or that cut across road. In an investigation, I should show you 2 pages of information that it turned up a lot of things, this bridge. This is the treasurer's investigation of all the deeds, all the land work in that area, trying to figure out what was going on. 2 full pages of junk. And what They did find out, although the deeds had been recorded properly over time, I had been paying for taxes on 52 acres that wasn't mine. Now, the treasurer had straightened that up. She has back paid me maybe 5 years. I think she can go back 5 years, $100 and some dollars. But I've been paying for that for 62 years. Not the treasurer's, or not the assessor's fault, it just had never been proper paperwork filled out way back when on the deeds. My question is on this US cut across road, that easement, and it had been spoken about as being a temporary easement from new highway to old highway. Although it is used a lot, I think it's a needed road. And I throw out the idea temporary. That easement is 250 feet across. And normally a county asks for 66 feet, 4 rods. And I do not believe that 4 rods is enough to maintain a road. That is a bare minimum for the county to maintain a road. But I do believe 250 feet is way in excess of what needs to be for a right-of-way on that road. I would ask, at some point in time, that fence is going to need rebuilt. And I would ask the commissioners if they would consider narrowing that easement to something more reasonable. And that is my question here today, is just to whether they'd be willing, you guys would be willing to talk to Road and Bridge, whatever you need to do. But 250 feet is a lot of area for an easement.
Is the fence right now on that easement line?
That, yes.
It is.
The deed shows, or the paperwork shows 250 feet. I Googled it. I'm not a surveyor. I can find the lines on a Google map. Pinned it, measured it across, and yes, it's right at 250 feet where I dropped the house. So that is my question, is to go ahead and narrow that easement. The easement for the old highway, I have not Googled it, and I should have. I've been running on time. I've been here early enough to Google that. I'm going to say it's closer to 100 feet, maybe 125 feet on the highway, the county road that is Old Highway 85 is probably 100 feet, 125 feet. Just guessing. I don't know. I have not measured yet. I'm just more concerned about what was in that old highway, old US highway cut across.
Good. Sorry. Yeah, looking on this map, it's substantial difference. I mean, not even a quarter the size of that easement. I think I wonder if we visit with Scott a little bit about it in this whole process and I can't fathom the need that for construction in that big an area.
According to the paperwork, it was left blank at the old highway 85 cut across, and I don't think that, the monetary sum was left blank, so I'm going to say nothing would be for that cut across. I know, looking at the paperwork, this easement, I also own this property over here, and this property on this side is even wider than this current highway. It's 300 feet. Easement is given to the state for, and that's considerably more acres than way down here, way up here.
South 85 is 300 easement.
This current highway 85 is 300.
That's 300, and this is 250.
This is 250, and I'm going to say this 100, 125 feet. Could be.
But you served a lot of years with the county commissioner. Did you ever deal with something like this in your past history of a county road adjustment?
Not as the county commissioner as I remember going backwards on an easement. I did with the state highway department and the highway commissioner for a little bit. And normally how it was handled, it was agreeable that it was a quick claim deed back to something very simple, back to an agreement or an easement that you guys would feel comfortable with.
Is there any, I mean, that's 250 feet on that road, it never has been anything larger than what it is today.
No.
I would think that we say that discussion with DOT would be at play here, just to expose the language on that easement. At one point in time, the 250 seemed appropriate for something. Were they anticipating widening that road?
No, it was for construction, just construction of that cut across. My understanding, it was a temporary cut across that they considered temporary. And then they gave that easement to the county. And like I said, I think even though in some language it was considered temporary, I think it's a much needed road. I think that it is used a lot, so I'm not asking to, no way, shape, or form to go ahead and not have a road. That's
Ted, is
Yes.
currently the fence line, when it comes down here, does it jog back into whatever this easement is, up to the bridge? Is there a jog in this fence line, or does this go straight over?
because there's a road there.
Okay,
That is still in question a little bit, to whether the county even has an easement there, or the state. When the state gave it to the county, whether they gave it to the county. That is the assessor's map.
okay. Because this portion, it shows this diving down and across, and,
That's just the property line.
okay, this is the property, fence line goes here.
Yes.
Okay. But it's not showing an easement
No,
up to the bridge.
not according to the assessor.
Are you gonna put a toll road in?
Absolutely not.
I was just wondering.
I believe that bridge for the safety of people in Newcastle, no, I do not like people out there. The other night, there was gunshots out there, fireworks at 4th of July, kids out there drinking the trash. I don't like any of that, but none of us would. But I think if you so, Commissioner, so desire to rebuild that bridge, that's the only south exit out of Newcastle for safety. If the bridge there at South Summit or there by South Summit, something would happen with a spill or collapse damage for the people in Newcastle. And I don't like the tourist traffic. They're Googling it, they're coming all the way down to my approach or making a big U-turn in the middle of the highway. They're seeing that as the closest route on the Google Maps to Custer, South Dakota. And the big campers and the vehicles going across there at 90 mile an hour. But it's a road and they're using it, and public, that traffic even in the wintertime, because of the houses that are being built south of the old Highway 85 down there. It is just tremendous amount of traffic. I would say that traffic is 5 or 6 times what it was 2 years ago. It is just constant all night long, all day long. You never look out there and not see traffic. But so I think that bridge and that road is well used.
I have a question, Mr. Where the intersection there where the kind of the wide stuff is that easement there all cleaned up, or would it be to our advantage if we move forward with this to clean up that easement in that area too?
Oh, yes, I'll give you that easement.
Well, I mean, just,
I have
we
no
need to-
problem giving you that easement, as long as it's used for a road.
yeah, that's what, do we need to go in there and maybe have it resurveyed to make sure it's actually what
Now,
it needs to be?
I need to, I've been in discussion with, the state of Wyoming and DOT to see whether they have some additional paperwork. I think as a highway, it may have been a clean easement, but when they deeded that back to the county, I don't know what happened, whether they deeded back to the bridge, coming from Newcastle, and then forgot that little piece, how that was forgotten or not forgotten, I don't know. I haven't seen all the paperwork on that. That's just what the mapping program shows.
You know, my concern is if we're going into this, let's get it done right.
I agree.
So we're not, so 20 years from now, somebody's going like, man, we don't have an easement across here, what are we gonna do?
I agree.
You know,
I think that I have no problem, I'm not, giving the county an easement, and as long as it's going to be used for a road. And whether it takes resurveying, guesstimates, I have no idea.
well, if we move forward with that bridge project, there's these people out there doing a lot of surveying, that'd be the time to have the corners marked and resurveyed.
I agree, because the Y there is going to get changed according to the plan.
Yeah.
That's going to become more of a T, which will be a real safety issue. What's there now is not very good as far as safety.
Yeah. This is something that you think about when some of those projects, now's the time to do it, get it all tied in and get it done.
I agree.
So,
I'm looking, hey, I might not rebuild, or that fence might not be rebuilt for another 5 years, 10 years, whatever. It's gonna stand there as long as it'll stand. It's not standing very well sometimes. So, my question is if I do get a chance to rebuild that fence, that would be the time to move. Or if that easement was narrowed out, that'd be the time to. But it depends on backward loans or where it needs to be.
I appreciate you bringing this to us, Ted, on the public comment section. I would foresee this discussion continuing in an agenda topic.
Sure.
So we're working on the bridge and that road.
Okay, and you will be talking about that bridge and the road next meeting, or?
The bridge is the road project, and that's scheduled for this year's replacement.
25. They're looking at 25.
2024 is the bridge, and 2025 is the trip.
The bridge got pushed back another year.
The bridge got
We got both projects for 2025 then. That's the first trip as well.
My last contact with DOT was that they pushed the bridge back because of the easement for fiber optics that they didn't know about.
We were told it was because of went on, but either way, I think it was pushed back in here.
I was hoping that, going to get done, that I could get this done before then.
Yeah, I think that crit, which is affecting most of that easement that you're discussing right now, is on the agenda for next meeting, and which will probably take some further discussions with Jim.
Sure. And maybe we'll find out more about that jog in the meantime.
Okay. Scott can close in.
Well, they can't work on road where
Right.
search for, so they should have. them.
Right. It's scheduled.
And I will sign an easement today, that's to make the project, if that's, I'm not gonna slow the project that over.
I don't think that that's necessary. I think the discussion with Scott Taylor on the scheduling of that, that road repair.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the easement should be in place prior to the scheduling. So
Oh,
we'll
yes.
talk with Scott on that.
I agree, on your guys' part and on the bridge part, anything, I think that needs to be all cleaned up as quickly as it can be to go ahead and facilitate, there's not a problem. Not a problem for me, but so that everything's where it needs to be, I guess.
Excellent.
Thank you, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Ted, may I keep that?
No.
Any other public comment?
Yeah, it's real quick, not as serious as, yeah, it is as serious too, is what Ted's is. But I'd like to request our elected officials start attending these classes, that this is the third one that's been out there that Mick has hosted. And the problem with a lot of our problems today is, we haven't been following the Constitution. I mean, whether you want to talk federally or locally, whatever. But if you could post those around the courthouse and try to get some of our elected officials there, because this is the third one I've gone to this year, and not one elected official came until Brian Colvard came to the last one, which he had a personal invite. So please, if we can get back to the Constitution, it would sort of solve a lot of our issues. And the second issue I have, we haven't heard anything about another meeting concerning our resolution we put in. Do we know where we're at there?
William Curley's been notified.
Pardon?
William Curley's been notified when it is. Him and I discussed it right after the last meeting.
So do we have a date?
It's on the 2nd, yes.
On the 2nd? See, we haven't heard that since. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? There being none, we'll move to commissioner's comment. Right.
I just want to thank Upton for allowing us to come here and use their facilities for a meeting. Hopefully the word will get out that we're trying to come quarterly, and we'll have some people come in and take part.
Any comments? Meeting is adjourned, 10:49.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.